Well, welcome to the splurging phases of the PrescriptFit Medical Nutrition Therapy Program. I'm Dr. Stanford Owen, and I'm going to give you a little bit of background on splurging so that you'll understand the goals and the intent of splurging. Phases 9 through 13 are foods that are high in saturated fat, pork, beef, and dairy. Phase 13 is starches, anything made from wheat or wheat flour, corn, rice, or potatoes. And quite honestly, it's not just the saturated fat that's harmful or the starch that's necessarily that harmful. Dr. Atkins proved years ago that you could eat fat by itself with not tremendous amounts of harm. And the Chinese and the Asians have been eating lots of starch and rice forever and ever without a lot of harm, very long lives and low risk of disease. But when you add a starch with a fat, it causes a complete disruption of the hormone systems of the intestines, of the pancreas, of the liver, and of the fat cell that causes hormones to be produced that completely disturb your metabolism, make you resistant to your own insulin, cause cravings by hormones in the brain, and make it very difficult to stay compliant with the diet strategy. The reason that we have splurging as a normal behavior is, first of all, these foods taste great. We want you to enjoy them. Number two, it allows you to go into social situations that can then be enjoyed fully, whether it's tailgating or going out with your friends or a family weekend holiday get-together such as Thanksgiving or Christmas. All the usual holidays that you consider to splurge, you can splurge. And will these foods have a negative impact? Yes. Will it be a negative impact that will tremendously impact your life? No. You may notice that if you're keeping track of your symptoms that you're going to have a relapse of symptoms, especially if you have more than one splurge meal. If you have a day or two or three of splurging, make note that your symptoms are coming back. When you realize that, then it helps you avoid those same splurge foods and put them properly into perspective as far as your strategy. So learning how to splurge properly is one of the key elements of this program that really makes it so successful and really easy to use. Phase 9 we'll be starting today is pork. You can have in any way, whether it's ham or a pork roast or it really doesn't matter. The so-called other white meat isn't necessarily that important. Enjoy the pork, it's all you can eat, and you'll also be eating it with the other 7 phases. Now, with your provider, put your basic information in, your waist size, your height. Now notice when you start splurging, you may have some weight gain, especially water weight. Those toxic hormones that I was telling you about can also cause massive fluid retention in some people very quickly. So if all of a sudden the scale jumps up 2 or 3 or 4 or 5, in rare cases even 10 pounds, it's because of the water retention by those toxic hormones made by the saturated fat or the starches. Diet phase will be phase 9. Medications, if there are any medication adjustments, write them down. Put all your medications down. Any that have been left off, leave them off. Exercise that you're doing, any one of walking, jogging, the gym, yoga, swimming, bike, calisthenics, dancing, tennis, any of them, all of them. Family trust, are you still struggling with your spouse or your kids or your parents, your friends or your work colleagues? Are you discussing it with them? Environmental cleanup. Remember, if you're going to be eating pork, it's best to leave the house and go find the pork rather than bring the pork into the house, unless it's one of those special occasions, like Christmas or Thanksgiving or a family or friend get-together. Phase 9, you may want to go to the book and read the first 8 phases again, adding phase 9 with pork. And make sure that you record in your calendar workbook. Make sure you get your 8 doses of PrescriptFit in every single day. You'll notice, number 1, that you're full, number 2, that you're feeling good, and number 3, that you're not eating as much of the other foods. Next phase will be beef, and we'll see you for splurging with beef.